Hey guys, what's up? It's Greg Srivasti with the Deepest Dream podcast. For this installment of Deepest Dream, I have a really nice conversation with my close friend, possibly my best friend. Yeah, I guess my best friend, Deandra Miranda. I've known her since the year 2009 when both of us were residing around downtown Los Angeles, and more on that later. But for the sake of this podcast, we're going to focus in this installment on a discussion of episode 4 of The Real Housewives of Rhode Island. The Real Housewives of Rhode Island. I think a lot of you know me as a really huge film buff. With the last 10 years over at Cinematics, I've been covering a lot of indie-driven films. I would say probably 90% of the stuff we cover over on Cinematics and the Cinematics podcast, that whole universe has been indie-driven. For the purposes of Deepest Dream, I will be broadening a lot of my reviews and coverage and interviews. And for this feed, a lot of it is going to be television-centric. Without further ado, here is my discussion with Deandra Miranda on The Real Housewives of Rhode Island. We do pretty much a overview of our love for the new show, and then we get into episode 4 recaps. For this Deepest Dream feed, there will be episodes that you will listen to specifically for the content, because the content I'm putting pretty much ahead of the people who host these segments. So a lot of the stuff you're going to get hopefully will be value-added material from filmmakers and actors and screenwriters. Ultimately, I'll be interviewing authors for this feed as well. But at least hopefully with Deandra, I will be covering a lot more reality stuff, Peacock material, and she's a huge fan of the Bravo ecosystem, and we get into it regarding the Real Housewives of Rhode Island. So if you don't watch it, I think you should watch it if you love reality stuff or the Housewives universe community. But if you don't listen to it, that's fine. Just continue to support Deepest Dream, because different episodes will focus on different sections regarding film and television. Last but not least, I mentioned this on the conversation with Deandra, but this is a timely plug. Landman Season 2 from Paramount Plus. I have 4 digital codes to give away. I will leave a link on my Deepest Dream website, link on the podcast show notes for you guys to enter. So look at that link. Very easy to enter. It's a timely situation. Right now I'm recording on Wednesday, 5 in the morning over in Los Angeles, and I believe this giveaway, I'm going to extend it to about this Saturday. So apologies if you guys are listening to this podcast episode later than this Saturday. But anyways, more giveaways will be available on this podcast as well. But thanks to Paramount Plus, Paramount Home Entertainment, for supplying me with these 4 digital codes. All right, guys, take care. Talk to you soon. Thanks for supporting Deepest Dream. And here's my conversation with Deandra Miranda regarding episode 4 of The Real Housewives of Rhode Island. Take care, guys. Hey, everyone, what's up? Welcome to the Deepest Dream podcast. I am joined by my very, very close friend. I'm not going to say best friend because I don't have a best anything. I'm sorry, Deandra Miranda. Pleasure to speak with you again. How are you, Deandra?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Very, very good. How do you like my radio podcast fake voice? Is this my real voice, or am I completely faking it for the podcast?
You're completely faking it.
I'm completely faking it.
Yeah.
And Deandra Miranda actually has a real voice. Right now, let's get to it. The reason why, Deandra, can you tell our listeners, why are we starting this little mini category of the Deepest Dream podcast? What is our goal as far as our maybe weekly or every other weekly conversations?
Well, maybe I just really, I really wanted to heighten our relationship a little bit more. And I wanted to bring you into the Bravo stratosphere. I think that you're just missing out. I know that you love to do your podcasts and interview celebrities of high calibers and talk about really great, amazing movies with lots of depth and detail. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I like to unplug like most Americans and just kind of watch some of my Bravo shows. And then it's something that you would really, I really selfishly kind of wanted to bring you in. And I just think that you and I over the last couple of days were really vibing over these shows. And what's better is to catch up and obviously look at great TV, but also discuss it. And I'd like to see a man's perspective as well.
That is half the truth. So I'm not saying Deandra's lying. Can you tell the listeners what have I been doing the last 10 years as far as my coverage on Deepest Dream and everything I do? Is what's the one major flaw in my coverage, you think? Is it the lack of Bravo or the lack of foresight? What do you think?
Yeah, the lack of financial revenue streams.
Right. Well, as I say, every word I speak, it's negative value to myself and double negative value to Deandra.
I think again, you've been hitting a lot of great, you've been hitting a lot of great movies, but I just don't think that they're really relatable right now. I think that you've been covering some great indie house genres.
That I've
And
only
as much,
seen, maybe one person has seen a lot of these movies I'm
yeah,
covering.
yeah. And as much as I love it, is I just think that you're really gonna explore you just gotta explore your platform of you're such a movie buff. I'm a movie buff. I love TV. Same with you. We both fell in love with the city of downtown LA. We both met there.
Right,
And
exactly.
I just think kind of like when you travel a lot is you just really connect on certain little like talkative buoys. And unfortunately the stuff that you covered doesn't always get you to there. So
Yeah, there's no
bravo.
buoy in whatever I've been covering in the last 10
There's
years.
not. And I want to be so supportive, but you say bravo, and it doesn't matter if you're at a packed bar, you'll have two people from polarizing viewpoints to have like longtime loyal fans, to have people who are really passionate. But the one thing that I really have loved is when I really do love my Bravo shows is it evokes an emotion. When
Mm,
you're asking someone, like, at your local restaurant, like, hey, have you heard of Calvary? This amazing movie that you recommended back in the day. People probably are just like, excuse me, can I get the check? There's no conversation.
right.
You mentioned Bravo, you mentioned Real Housewives, you mentioned Summer House, Below Deck, etc. And you'll definitely get people to be like, I love that. Oh my gosh. And it could translate into so many different conversations, whether it's about characters, villains, states, or just even like trips around the world. So I think it's a wide net cast that you just haven't really understood because most men think they're like Bravo, a bunch of bitchy women, but it's a huge, huge, just it has tentacles.
It has tentacles. I like it. Also, regarding net, there is no net I have to cast. First, I have to buy a net. The way I'm going to buy a net into the Bravo ecosphere is my buddy Deandra Miranda. She's an expert on Bravo, but I wanted to start off with something basic, not basic in a negative way, basic in a real way. The Real Housewives of Rhode Island. Hashtag RHORI. Do people even say hashtag something anymore? I think that's an old person saying that.
It might be. Yeah. You
I,
gotta just leave the hashtag out of there.
we'll leave the reason why we're starting this for this podcast is I was going to say hashtag RHORI again, but the Real Housewives of Rhode Island. It's the freshman season. We're 4 episodes in, and what better way to start, at least selfishly for me, to enter this level by understanding Rhode Island. Deandra,
Yep.
first off, your initial preconception about the show, and then now that you've seen all 4 episodes, was that preconception changed for the better or for the worse regarding Rory?
Honestly, it changed for the better. I was thinking about how I felt. Yes, I did conclude all 4 episodes and I loved it. And it's interesting because I feel a little bit differently today than I did yesterday, where it's one of the first franchises that I believe, because I love the housewives of every city and state out there, is it's really it's really geared to the blue collar. On most franchises, it's someone of a little bit more notable last name. People really dial into the decadent and the jewels and the private jets, and it really is. It really leans onto the exact culture of what that city brings. You know what I mean? So whether you're
Right.
talking about OC, where it's like the plastic surgery, the bleach blonde hair, the boats, the shopping sprees to Beverly Hills, the celebrities, the diamond, the decadence, to New York socialites, powerhouse women.
What is it?
Most
Is it aspirational or is it something out of reach? Something like that? That vibe from these shows?
So normally it's very out of reach. It's about very affluent men or women, sorry, very affluent women doing very affluent things in a very affluent circle. And what I really liked about the Royal Housewives of Rhode Island was it was just really relatable. It had my popcorn dialed in to be like, oh my gosh, let's see like how Rhode Island lives. And Rhode Island lives just like me and my neighbors and my social economics and friends. And it's somewhere that I've personally been before where I really, really love that they casted very powerful women, but it wasn't starting out with the private jets and I'm wearing a $250,000 Cartier bracelet like some of the other franchises where it's good, amazing women, mothers, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and they really just are leaning into, they have a lot of cultural, they're very proud of where they're from. And I really like that. It's not a bunch of transplants or we're here and we think this is Rhode Island is. They really cast an amazing network of women who are like, this is how we are here. And they lean into it and they're proud of it. And I believe we'll get into it. But Ashley, and I believe the first episode, she was saying that she's like, I've never met a group of women who are so proud to be from
Mm.
Rhode Island. So I really enjoyed that. I thought it's an amazing franchise pivot that again it's obtainable where you're born and bred and you're really proud to be this blue collar powerhouse phenomenal woman.
That's so interesting because this is my introduction to the universe. And so it feels very realistic to me. I wonder when we start talking about the other shows if I will be somewhat disappointed that it's not as earthy or seemingly real as Rhode Island. Do you think I will have a problem transitioning to maybe OC, Atlanta, Beverly Hills? Would it be a hard thing or not really because it's universal?
I think there's two ways. I think you're going to understand like the platform of what the Real Housewives is about. So you'll understand why these women are casted. You'll understand what the show there's a blueprint for the show no matter what city you're in. But I definitely think it's something that, and again, for a longtime viewer, I couldn't put my finger on really why I liked it and what was really different about it. But now that we're having this conversation, I think you'll be able to spot the difference within the first 15 minutes. So I think with any other franchise you pick up, you will be like, whoa, this is completely different. Because again, it's really highlights and they're really proud and they're really putting at face value of that really highlight for the rich and famous where this has a completely different tone. So I think you'll be able to pick it up like just from a new viewer, I would say within under 15 minutes.
Hey everyone, sorry, this is a really weird transitional pickup. I screwed up on the Google document. I forgot to put episode 4 on our latest The Real Housewives of Rhode Island Google Doc. Episode 4, I put all that stuff for us, and I forgot to mention what we're gonna be doing for this episode is doing an overview of the series, but also talking about the latest episode, episode 4, and then we're gonna branch out on some overview stuff regarding Rhode Island. So Deandra, why don't we just start off on the latest episode since it's fresh on both our minds? What
Okay.
did you think of episode 4? I think the biggest thing regarding episode 4 is no Joe Ellen on the episode. She's on a work trip to Chicago. That's where the show starts. Numero cuatro. She's in Chicago. We don't get to see her. We see her sister Jen helping her out, and what's her husband's name? Gary. So
Hey, Billy, right? Or
no, I think Gary, right? Is it
Gary, yes,
Gary.
yes.
So Sister Jen is helping out Gary with the kids. Joe Ellen is off to Chicago. That's the opening minutes of episode 4. Did the episode miss Joe Ellen's presence, or did all the other housewives plus Dolores handle the episode quite well, in your opinion?
I actually think it was amazing because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even really notice too much because like she was it pivots, but no, I agree with you. I think that they did a really good crossover. What I've also really liked though is thus far is they're integrating a lot of family already into it. We got to meet like the aunts, and now we got to meet the sister. Dolores is already in it. Again, it's a different structure than I'm used to normally seeing, where normally you start introducing friends of mid in the season a little bit later. So I'm wondering if, again, this is the one thing that's amazing that you and I are recapping this is because I'm a first time viewer of this franchise, as we all are. But it seems like even structurally, they're doing stuff a little bit differently. To see Del Dolores as a friend of, or to see another person to come in and fill the footsteps of a main character is something that doesn't really happen, especially in the very beginning. I would like to see how that strategizes. Also, Bravo is really notorious with putting little like silent detonators. Like who knows, maybe her sister will have a big storyline with her moving forward and the kind of foreshadowing. So, especially with Bravo, sometimes you never know if they're pivoting it to a way where they're introducing a lot of characters, a lot of characters in the first couple seasons that maybe I'm wondering if there's a lot of interaction mid to the end of the seasons.
That's so good. We get your just bird's eye view of everything because you know how things work within this structure. I don't know if Bravo needs a silent detonator regarding Rhode Island because there's a person there named Rosie and she's the ish starter. It seems so many episodes.
Yes.
Do they really need a detonator, or is she just gonna blow up the whole show herself? What do you think?
Well, that's the thing, especially in the stratosphere. Like it's she might be helping the show. She might be, like you said, blowing up the show. Sometimes people are one hit wonders. Sometimes these
Oh,
girls knock it out of the park. Yeah. So that's one thing that's really cool about new franchises is you can have someone who could be like her and stir the pot and fan favorite, love. She really is a connector, like you said. She could be someone who just goes in a little bit too hot, who might be just like a little overzealous or just doesn't give really good feedback. Herself could be trying too much. I definitely know, and I put some, we were chatting a little bit offline yesterday, but what I like about Rosie is she likes to say it because she's a reporter at heart, and you're a reporter at heart. So, how
yeah.
do you feel? Do you think that because she's a reporter and you're a reporter, do you like to stir the pot a little bit and get into the details, or should be messy?
Well, Deandra, you're asking a really good question for our listeners and people who are fans. If I'm going to just say Rory and Deandra, you know me as a media person. Whenever you and I would go out in downtown LA, we'd have a favorite bar we'd go to. It's called the Noe bar, right
Yes.
next to where I lived. I would ask, I would stir the pot. I would ask strangers
I know.
personal questions, and by the end, me and Dee were just having great conversations about their lives. It was weird. So I personally love people who stir the pot. I do feel personally Rosie is a bit insensitive when it comes to that, and maybe we'll get to that later. So that's my answer to that. I think she's going to be one of these, like you said, silent detonators all throughout the series.
Yes.
And I think she's the biggest ish stirrer. Do you disagree with me on that? Is there someone else who stirs a pot better than Rosie this season so far from the 4 episodes? I don't see it.
I don't see it either. But again, I don't know if it's because she's media trained, where if it's
Yes.
like a slow burn, because that's the one thing that's very interesting where, I mean, especially when you're in media like yourself is, I don't know if you're able to turn that part off of you. So put, maybe she put this pot stir away when she retired, but maybe it's still in her. Or like yourself, maybe she still loves to do it and it keeps her still like alive in the field. So
I think a potential person who might take Rosie's crown, this is a sneaky pick for me as far as a silent detonator. I like that term. I think Kelsey has a shot. Person almost all alone in that really beautiful
yeah,
mansion slash house. There's someone, a housekeeper who takes care of her. But she's the type of person, she did that, I think, in episode 3 with Liz. She just dropped the word ongoing. She knew that word as a trigger word, and she
yeah,
just started it up.
yeah,
She's the type of person who say, if she saw me in person, she'd look at my little tummy and she'd just squeeze it a little bit. She just,
yeah.
and another clue, and I love Kelsey. She can open a beer bottle with her teeth.
That's like the woman after your own heart right there.
Right? So, what do you think of my little theory? She could be a sneaky deaky crown taker as far as the silent detonator goes.
It was because you know why? Because how about this? I had no idea that her and Dino had a history until
Yes.
Liz was the one who said it. So the same when I watched it as a viewer, I was like, I figured Liz had a few glasses of wine too much, but I didn't understand like that passion when she was like, "Oh, is it ongoing?" Like you said, and she's like, "I'm out of here," and he storms up the stairs, and I was like, "Oh, it's like a aggressive." But you know, sometimes when you have too much of the wine, you make a little silly mistakes, or you overhear something. But you're
Yes.
totally right because then it opened up the conversation where then Liz exposed to us in her confessional, it's because her and Dino had a history. Then Kelsey in her confessional said, Dino and I had a completely different relationship. So it's already building layers of, is there some romantic feelings that are being suppressed, or are there some romantic feelings that are being hidden? Because somehow these two women have totally different experience of this one man that is in town and in their circle, but both have a love-hate relationship. But guess what those both have? Those both have feelings. You love or you hate, you still have feelings.
Deandra, am I being completely naive when I 100% trust Liz that she never ever hooked up with Dino? Am I living with blinders on? Do I need my readers, or am I trusting the right person when she said that's never ever happened?
I think it might be physically. Yes, I do agree with you, but I think emotionally, you never know. Everyone thinks about it differently. If I was married and I was in love with someone and they really were emotionally someone's rock, I've dated people a lot that are they don't they travel a lot for work. I travel a lot for work. So I understand when you're separate and you want to go out with your friends, catch up, have some dinner. Like she says, I totally get that. I'm on the road a lot. I've had partners on the road, but I've never had a partner where they did or I did, where I had an emotional other person that was fulfilling. It's more of a social person. I'm gonna go out with Greg tonight. We're gonna go to Noe downtown LA, have some drinks because I'm bored maybe today. But never
And I'm
someone
a
who
last
was
resort,
emotion.
and
I mean,
that's
but never someone
facts.
who was but never someone who was emotionally my
Sure,
rock. So
sure.
I think that that's a little bit of a micro cheating because where's the fine line? When you tell your husband that you love someone and they are your everything, that I think sometimes can muddy the water of, is that really your best friend or is that a little bit of a too much passion?
It'll be interesting to see. I don't know this. I don't know if Dino will show up prominently in the next 8 episodes. It's an interesting subplot, one of the many subplots of Rhode Island
Yeah, they already dropped an affair. Like they dropped an affair
with
straight in her
himself.
lap. Two affairs, two alleged affairs, first, second episodes.
Amazing, amazing stuff. Now I got to ask you a couple of questions regarding episode 4. It also starts off with Liz and Dolores. They're obviously very what, and they start off their conversation with a sage ceremony. Have you personally, with your friends, had sage ceremony, and are they effective? Because I am clueless. I was interested. It was on the episode for maybe 5 seconds, but I just said, "Well, okay, that's not me. I don't know what that is." So,
Of course I have. Listen, I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. I'll take all the good vibes, all the holistic stuff. I have part Native American in me, so I believe in like the clearing of the energies and the souls. I also think that we've all had those moments where you wake up to and you're like, I went a little bit. I think I maybe overreact a little bit. You kind of want to do like the cleanse your soul. You have a little anxiety going on. So I think
it's
whatever makes you feel a little bit better, because you know
no,
what anxiety
nothing.
is.
Yeah,
Anxiety
new word for
is
me, but
that
thank you, thank you.
it's that hangover anxiety where you're just like, I need all the healing, all the cleansing. I'm with Jesus today.
And it works, sort of, or a little bit. I guess it's effective, right? I guess, and that's what she needed. Liz needed the next day because that previous night with Kelsey was a little bit sad,
She
right?
did, but she also went in with a great apology where it wasn't too defensive. They were both meeting of the minds. What I love about these two women, and I told you like they're both my favorites, is because
Mm.
Kelsey is the young one. Miss Rhode Island has been a kept woman since she's been 19 years old. So she's been in a relationship for 11 years, was a very older, affluent man. Liz is someone who has been a mother, not to her biological children, but she's been a strong boss. She's the eldest of the group. And what I love is you could tell that they both have very long-standing, committed relationships where it doesn't matter the age, like the age demographic or the difference is they really respect each other. And I think they have a real good, honest friendship that is I guarantee they're gonna be the freaking frack. Like they're a pleasure to watch. And I can only imagine when the more drinks start flowing and they get more like comfortable, they're gonna have some really cool adventures.
So am I Liz and you Kelsey? What's going on, Deandra? What's going on with that? No?
I think I'm more Liz and you're more Kelsey.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I got
I could
Kelsey's.
see you being like a kept man.
Right. Okay.
I'd be out there with my Prada boots, like picking you up on my beautiful little dingy boat. And I think I have a little bit more testosterone.
Do you think Alicia's a little bit jealous? Yeah, you do actually. Do you think Alicia's more jealous of the relationship between Liz and Kelsey? Because that hasn't come out yet. But do you think she is, or Alicia has so much problems of her own, she just is happy to be in that circle and no matter what?
Yeah, I think it's gonna come out a little bit because you know what it is?
Oh,
It's because I think Kelsey's very sure of herself and Liz is very sure of themselves. And that's why they get along and they have a really strong dynamic. And she was totally fine with apologizing because they both know who they are, they both know what they want. Even though Kelsey's finding her relationship, she is willing to make a pivot. Liz is really someone who she is comfortable with who she is. People are like, oh my God, they're rumors, who cares? Like, lets it roll off.
they're both
But
accountable. They're both very
they're very
accountable.
and they're both self-aware. They're not someone who's like, oh, the rumors don't exist. They're just like, nah, another Tuesday. With Alicia, unfortunately, that must be a really hard identity crisis is to feel that she keeps on talking about the career when you're not a woman producing your income, feeling that you're really in a partnership dynamic because of career and finances. I just think that personally it makes you just a little bit more emotional. It's a little bit
Yeah.
treading water.
And from the
Where
outside, Alicia looks like one of the stronger people, one of the stronger housewives from the outset because she's Rhode Island strong. She has that thick accent and she is a tough woman. But the fact that her name is not in any of the mortgage of the house, the pizza mama business license, none of that stuff. And it's
her
not
own
through
companies, yeah. Her
not
own
through
family
any fault.
companies.
It's not
Yeah.
yeah, it's just I think she's a victim of circumstance. I don't know about you, D, but I just feel that she deserves her name on these things. And I think it's one of the most, I think possibly the most emotional part of the season. Do you agree, disagree on that aspect of it?
I do agree because I think, especially as I think with anyone, is you have an identity crisis, especially when you're not quote unquote bringing something to the table. Like a lot of people feel really, sometimes when you don't have your own career and like you said, your name's on the deed of the house or you're not invested with this company where like you're calling the shots is I think when you really have a lot of potential, like she does, and she's a really smart woman, and she comes from a business background herself with her family, having all those bakeries and the pizza shops and all that. Yeah, I can only imagine that she's just like probably having a little bit of an identity crisis where do you fit in the world? Do you want to be a kept woman, and do you want to be having to ask your partner for money and not being in the engagement and their child's 9, or do you want to be someone to make it on your own? And I think that unfortunately, whenever you're trying to find your own self identity, man or woman, it really it infiltrates your mind a lot more, and I think you become a little bit more emotional and a little bit more hyperly aware and sensitive.
And that's why she was very sensitive towards Rosie when
Very
Rosie put her
sensitive.
on blast at that what is it, the Railways after party when they're having
Yeah,
champagne. What
yeah.
did you think of Rosie calling her out about that and saying, "Hey, this is Alicia, you told us that it's hard to get along with Liz because Liz is you have to walk on eggshells." I'm paraphrasing, of course, but she was pointing it out. Was Rosie in the complete wrong to put Alicia on blast, or was that just a mistake that she made? Was she just, what did you think of that whole situation? And do you think Alicia had every right to be absolutely angry at Rosie for those comments?
I would be completely angry because what I'm having a hard time connecting with Rosie is even though she is this reporter, it seems a little too produced for me. It's
Oh,
different if
very
like
good.
it feels like if everyone's screaming and you're like, well, you said I have a bad attitude is because Alicia said you had a bad. If I brought someone into a conversation because I'm being under the attack and I'm saying, hey, like I think you are strong and you are to heart. You're hot and cold a little bit because you know why? Because every time I talk, and I really gave like a plethora of facts and like my own personal problems with Liz to say, yeah, I'm really scared to talk to you because every time I bring it up, you bite my head off. And this has been happening for X amount of years. And I've seen you do it to many people. What I didn't like about Rosie, and I've seen her do it, she did it with Kelsey at that luncheon too, is she just nukes when there was no poking the bear. Do you know what I mean? Most
Yeah.
people drag other people into their own drama because they're trying to make a point. They're trying to say, my point's not validated to you, but you know what? 3 of us talked about it or spoke about it, and we all feel the same way. I'm the only one to say it. What Rosie's doing right now, and it just feels a little too produced, is
Right.
she just again she's like dropping bombs where it was like no one even raised their voice that night. Everyone was getting along, of course, like little back and forth, like little like chatter and everything. But I think she totally threw her under the bus because in an air of confidence with the friend, you don't use you don't use what they said with such a good friend of theirs as a point to then make your point. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
You use people what they say when it's a last resort when you're having 5 conversations with them and they're dismissive or they're blowing up on you. But I just felt like even as a viewer, I thought it was crazy that it's like she baited her, then she weaponized it, then bombed it. So
Yeah.
I can understand
A lot
why
of gaslighting there. A lot of
it
gaslighting.
was extremely, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that's a very reporter journalistic type of way to
Yeah.
do things.
Yeah.
Very gaslighting. I thought it was very manipulative, very gaslighting. And
Rosie was playing for engagement over real friendships at that moment. She was playing for the
exactly,
cameras. Yeah.
exactly. And that's what and that's the one thing that's hard about it is I just, with new franchises, you just don't want it to be too produced because there was no need for that. And I think she did that first one with Kelsey when I don't think Joellen was baiting. She said, oh, Kelsey's kind of going through like some stuff. Like Kelsey admitted it on camera, confessionals with friends. I'm going through a transitional point. I want kids. I want a family. My boyfriend says it's never going to happen. Right. So she was confiding. And then when she's like, oh, why? It's because she's a polygamist. Okay. First and foremost, what I didn't like about it, having a husband or a boyfriend or a life partner or whoever you're dating, whether it's a sugar daddy, older, younger, same age, commitment partner, anything, I just thought it was a but then to label her something very salacious, controversial, and like extremely rude and provocative, I just thought that was a that was a low blow. And I think that Kelsey and hopefully later when the season. I hope she gets a redemption and lights her ass up because I thought that was a nuke that was not deserved.
I will say this. I'm not defending Rosie, but whenever she does stuff, it is detrimental and it blows stuff up, but it is entertaining, even if it is produced. I know I'm a newbie, but I'm gonna say this. It is entertaining. Now, to get to maybe a possible human side of Rosie, the episode also deals with her talking to Ashley. They have a get together, and Rosie says she's good with kids. And it's interesting. It's a mini subplot in the series that she says she might want to have kids with their loved one, but and they're on a different page. And I thought something that Rosie said that was very interesting. She said her mother was completely critical of her. And one of the reasons why she doesn't want to be a mom is she fears about being critical of her own kids. That's, I think, on episode 4, that's when I started to think, okay, now I sort of get why sometimes Rosie can have a little bit of a edge to her because of that mom thing. And I thought that was possibly not generous, but empathetic to realize that no matter what, she's married, right? Well, no matter what her hubby says that he wants to have kids, she understands that she could be a detriment as a mom. I thought that was had a lot of foresight and humanity to it. What did you think of that? Do you think that was fake, or where do you land on that regarding Rosie's take on being a mom?
So this is a hard thing that's about, especially when you're meeting new ladies. We all have different perceptions. I thought it was vulnerable. I thought it was really honest. I think it's really vulnerable. I think a lot of women or men feel the same way. I think that sometimes when you have that childhood trauma or pain, it affects you later in life, or it affects you in ways that you never thought. The only problem is like any communication, is like her delivery. Her delivery, even with her husband, isn't very soft and open. Where yes, vulnerability is there, but then it seems like she doesn't have even a connection with him,
Hmm.
honestly. So is that cut from the same cloth as maybe she's not really in touch with really deep emotions because of her upbringing? Maybe it's a defense mechanism. I would love to see her kind of peel back the layer where she explains it, because it is something that to be self-critical is not very fun, especially when it comes passed down from your parents. But then also is it the defense mechanism where it's like she can be great when and everyone will definitely come to that journey, but I would understand more of those feelings if she was single. Like Bethany Frankel used to be that way, and like in other housewives and other housewives, even a woman myself, is I have those questions sometimes. I'm not married with kids, but it's different when you're not married, where it's a very uncertainty. So hopefully you'll see her husband and they can actually bond like a closer relationship where she has a great support system and network. And so maybe if she's also a little bit less critical on herself, she'll able to like move in ways that she might. I would love to see the vulnerable side where the context was there. And I think it's noble to say, hey, I don't know what I want in life, but it's also it just didn't seem like a really heartfelt, genuine moment where, that's a pretty serious conversation to have with the person that you love, your husband. There's no tears, there's no nothing. It was just very matter of fact.
What did you speaking something that's not matter of fact though in episode 4, and the reason why I think it's going to be iconic regarding the problems and all the relationships and all that stuff and whatnot. The iconic line of the series when Alicia yells at Rosie during their huge argument, "Welcome to Rhode Island, bitch." You talked about
Yeah.
produced segments. How overproduced was that segment? But it still worked. I still loved it. Did you eat that up? Welcome to Rhode Island, bitch. That's gonna be, I think, a line. I'm sure Housewives they have iconic lines. Where does that stand? Is that a pretty iconic line, or do you think that's a throwaway line? You know better than me.
You know what? It's iconic, and most iconic lines actually end with the word bitch in all the franchises. It would be like, buy wig, buy this. There's a lot. I'm not doing well today, bitch. There's these one-liners that really do hit. I loved it because I could feel like the frustration. Like you could tell that she was just like, oh, and hey, maybe it's a foreshadow. Maybe she's like, I'm coming for you now. Because that's what I do. These ladies are a little bit like little gangster where they are from this small town. And that's the thing about these small towns is some people have a lot of militia behind them that maybe it can make her life a living hell. So maybe it's a forced scene of don't mess with me. Maybe it was like you said, a metaphor of just like iconic, just I'm so frustrated, don't mess with me is more produced, but I definitely thought it shut her up.
Yeah, it's so funny. We've been talking for a while on the Housewives. It's been fun. Are you surprised at how into the show I am? What
I
did you think of my
am.
knowledge? What is your grade so far? How am I doing as far as just speaking Housewives talk? Okay, am I?
I can't wait to get into the really juicy nitty gritty. Like I just can't wait. Like we have so much to talk about right now. And it's all analytics, but I cannot wait for you to call me up after one episode and just be like, what just happened? Because it gets with all franchises, they just get so juicy. And again, like you can't even you can't even believe how they unfold sometimes. Like sometimes people will be thick of thieves in the beginning, worst enemies. Sometimes it'll be the whole cast against one. So I am so beyond the moon. I think you're doing an amazing job. You seem
Thank
to
you.
be very, very well knowledge and you're super into it.
Yeah, I sound I thought look, I'm not trying to fake this conversation. And this is me actually being involved in the whole program. I'm excited. I will tell you a couple more things. We haven't mentioned Rula. That's a whole, maybe we'll devote another episode about that regarding her husband. But I want to ask you, Rula, obviously when people get into the housewives ecosphere, they get a bump on social media, they get a huge bump on on the brand. Rula is a financial analyst. Her They live in a very successful neighborhood in Rhode Island. Does she really need the show? The reason why I'm saying this is the infidelity with her husband. They have children, and her what is out there, just the personal stuff is out front and center. I'm sure you have years of experience on this. I'm just as a newbie, I'm thinking, why are you showing this? Not criticizing, but just saying, I can't believe what's going on. And you're probably like, this is old hat for me, but can you give me the answers? Why do this when your family's so darn successful anyway?
You're insane with me. I can't believe because you know what's crazy about it? Because as it's unfolding, right? Even just clickbait news, right? That type of Bravo stratosphere, like I said, was everyone's already speaking about it. There's a welcome to the season. The one thing that's really difficult is this generation and this day and age is so different where now it looks like that Rule is dealing with a unsavory, maybe social media fame mistress who is very excited to spill the tea, very excited to drop more information. I heard word on the street that they had to serve her with like I guess they're suing the mistress now
Right.
because
TMZ
she,
reported that, I
she
think. Yeah.
exactly. That's the thing that's really difficult about things. And I'm with you. I'm like, beautiful, beautiful woman, amazing. Like she's a successful business. It's in the financial aid. He's a podiatrist. I can't
Right.
imagine. It's not like it's a little coffee shop and then girls want to go there, like Tom Tom from Vanderpump Rules, and people want to post whether you love or you hate the scandal. Is these are two professionals that spent their entire lives and education literally working very, very hard. And then for their own personal life to blow up, put it on national television, deny it also. I think that rule should really start leaning into it. Like it's all out there.
Wow.
I do not feel like Joelle and Sid should be the bearer of bad news. It's like they say don't shoot the messenger. It's like you should be mad at your husband because he keeps on obviously putting his pen in the company ink type of thing. I mean, this woman, this mistress is being scorned if you have to sue her to stop. Where I don't think that he's telling Rula everything, where it seems like an ongoing toward love affair still. Where if this was just, hey, it happened, I was out of town a couple years ago, I'm really sorry. Again, open up because what people like Rula and her husband are not going to like is nowadays with social media, reality television, everything comes out to light. Everything comes out to light. There's going to be people who probably work at like hotel, restaurant, bars, this being like, always saw them, timestamps, receipts. This is going to follow them. And the more you deny, the more you put yourself in the worst positions. I don't really know I think they're not really united as one right now. And I just think that even if this was a year ago, I think he cheated too close to her being on the show. And it's a bad faux pas because they just can't get ahead of it, nor should they. It's like when this is kind of like throwback, but when Kelsey Grammer was cheating on Camille Grammer from Real House of Beverly Hills, he wanted her to do this show because he wanted her to be distracted. Some husbands
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
that want them to do reality TV because they want them to be distracted. They're always filming. They're with their cocktails and friends and stuff, and you don't really notice that you're not spending so much time with them or they're gone because now you're really busy, right? Especially being a mother you're busy doing this and that, and you have engagements now. So I would be interested to see if he really wanted to push her in a way to be a little distracted. But in this type of generation, everyone unites in the forefront. And I think, I mean, even the schmuck had nothing to say. He had
Right. When he,
nothing to say.
yeah,
I mean, he also, at the end of the day, I mean, I get very passionate where don't like, and I with you, don't bring someone's job into it and their kids and their livelihood and everything. Like at the end of the day, you did it. It
yeah.
doesn't matter if someone sent a photo and they're watching out for you, or again, they're the messenger and they're bearer bad news, but you did it. You completely continue to do it. You're denying you did it. The girl is out there for the whole world to do it. And now you signed up for another job that you're globally faced, right? I think you should be mad at the girl, your mistress, and you should be mad at yourself.
It's very, yeah, it's very, very interesting to see where it's going to land because, like you said, Dee, they are a successful couple. I don't know what it's like to be married or have a meaningful relationship or maybe live a real life, but I will say this, I could understand if they decided to do this type of dirty laundry stuff regarding their personal life. If as a couple, they were struggling financially and they needed some type of financial come up, and this Bravo thing would help. But they were already, I think, on a more than a six figure level tier. They were on a very good tier as far as their social strata was regarding Rhode Island. But we'll see what
And also the
happens.
profession, but the professionalism, like,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe if you want a little buzz clickbait, even though cheating is never good, but again, you guys own something, you're an entrepreneur, you have a fleet of car, like something. I just can't imagine, and I don't understand why business professional, like you're a doctor, she's a financial service provider, like you said, like these are industries that don't like all this salacious drama. I would never want to go to a doctor who is this messy in his personal life. You think I want him to come do surgery on me or check me? I just think that
It's very interesting.
but you know what? And I am gonna people blame either one, but I'm gonna blame him where it's like he signed off on this. He's the one who has this secret type of life going on. And unfortunately, they have so much to lose and it only affects the kids. So
Yeah.
that's one thing that's really disappointing that whoever said yes to this and him still not being aware. And I just think it's like I'm telling you, it only gets worse before it gets better. And if it does get better, it normally ends in divorce. So it's a lose-lose
Oh,
for everyone.
wow. And the way they
Yeah.
started off with Rula in the Housewives, I thought she was going to be one of, I'm not saying comic relief, but just one of these possibly a little bit stuck up housewife. And if she was one of those people and was just surface level, would have made for great entertainment. And then she didn't have to put all that stuff out on Front Street. I'm looking here on the Google Notes. It says here, she lives in Lincoln, Rhode Island. And one of the first things she says is because Lincoln, Rhode Island, I'm assuming is a really prominent area. She says
Yeah.
she would never live in Cranston. I have no idea
Yeah.
what that means, but that was cool. That was something that I'm sure a lot of people, affluent people in Rhode Island, would say or think. And that was cool and surface level. And that's the kind of stuff I was expecting from a reality show. But all of this stuff within the first four episodes, drama, drama, drama. And it's so funny, as I think we're almost going to close this episode, we haven't even started mentioning Ashley Iocanetti Haibon, I don't even, how do you pronounce her last name? She's married to
Yeah.
Jared. What's the reason why we haven't spoken about her? Is it because I don't think she's boring? Is it because she's the most likable out of the crew? Or why do you think, Dee, we've gotten to her last as far as our conversations?
I think she's a little bit boring, but you know, again, like, she might be, she's a little boring, but what's interesting about it is her and her husband were both on a massive platform as far as The Bachelor, right?
Right.
So I'm always really interested is I don't know why they're coming off so boring. I think they have the opportunity. They say they're both influencers, right? And they make very good money doing influencing. They were both on Bachelor in Paradise. They've been in the media circuit. I mean, come on, as far as I know, like they were on the the ABC circuit. That's promo. Like you're out there, you know how to advertise yourself. They have hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. They put their lives out there. And it's really interesting to see them. There are people who I was really looking forward to being like the most like Hollywood type of out there in your face. Yeah, we're young and I don't know. I don't know why they're playing it safe. Maybe they are safe, which is a very likable quality too. But that's one thing that's it's a little disappointing because you would think someone who, both of them, because even if you have like a woman who was in the media spotlight before and she marries someone who doesn't like it, it's always the age old story of, I don't want to be in the spotlight. It's your show. I want to be hidden. So it's like that hard. You don't really give all your life because your partner doesn't want to be filmed. But it's
Yeah.
like these people both live their lives on camera through the lens 24/7. And I would really like to see there just be a little bit more because it's a little bit like that, like docile Bambi type of thing. And it's like, you already know how the circuit works. You know what I mean? Bringing any if you never bring anything to the table, no offense, I would love to go try your coffee, but I would love to see. Yeah, I don't, not every coffee owner needs to be on a reality TV show. Like,
Okay.
I want to see a little bit more drama. I want to see, and I don't mean drama as far as negative, but just, I would just love to see more from her. And I think she either has it in her or some people just don't know how to pivot. Maybe The Bachelor in Paradise is very, again, produced. It's ABC, it's cookie cutter, it's likability. This might be the wrong networking show for her.
But is there, okay, in all fairness to Ashley, I look at her at Thailand in the Vietnam War, okay, where everything is peaceful. She comes in and you're not going to get a lot of drama from her within the circle. So I feel like she can serve as a buffer. Is that an okay defense, or do you think that's just taking up space, D, when it comes to that? How do you feel
Like I
about
said, I would love to go to the coffee shop. I will see them at the coffee shop.
how dare you?
It's taking up space. I think it's taking up space, and it's taking not again. It's
Audrey's
just it's
Coffee House and Lounge, D. That's the name of
yes.
the
I'll see.
it's
I'll go have a coffee, and I'll go have a lounge. I'll go have a glass of wine. I think it's
and,
taking up
and
space.
and Jared's cute. He's a cute guy and he's stressed. I want a real house husband of Rhode Island, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's just Jared making coffee and being stressed at the end of the
I
day. I'm cool with
agree.
that.
It's like my brother was on this show. I'm like, oh, you're raising two kids. You have a stressful job. Like, you don't really communicate, go on date night. Like that's sometimes I love sometimes that the cast right now is like relatable. And I'm like, oh yeah, but I don't want to hang out with someone who my life mirrors that. I don't want to be like, oh, you just worked
Really?
40
Okay.
hours and yes, because you know what? Like my whole job, like it's I want to unwind and be invested, and I want you guys to like have me escape my reality. And if you, like you said, if you are just literally like my neighbor or myself, I think that I would like to love to grab a glass of wine with you, but you don't need to be on my television screen.
Jared's stressed face. Isn't that entertainment? You just see him. They're having a nice champagne, nice dinner after, and he walks across the street from Audrey's to wherever they were eating, and they're trying to have a nice get together, nice little
Oh,
dinner. And
the ice machine.
oh, is that
It's
what
all
it's
about the
called?
ice machine. Remember? These are the ice machine.
Oh, right.
And but you know what I laugh about that as a viewer is it's you're young, you guys are both young, you guys are both beautiful, you live in a pivotal city, you have a business, you're on a show that promotes businesses. If you can't ride this wave, whether it's 10 seasons, 10 years, one episode, one hit wonder, that's what I'm saying. You might need to make way for someone else because if I had a coffee shop and I was that stressed, I would damn sure make a splash. So no matter who was, whether I was renewed for 20 plus years like Vicky Gundelson, or if I was a one hit wonder, I'd be like, you know what? My place is going to be a destination because you're homie, you're on television. This isn't like some Big Brother hidden camera show. Like you're on television. If you don't shoot your load now, you're
Right.
never going to. And like this is not, it's great. They're great people, but you're saying your business is bleeding. Make your business be enjoyable. Your wife's just getting a nice paycheck that you guys didn't used to get because you're filming now. You're doing press tours where she could be getting endorsement deals. Last thing I want to do is go have a cup of Joe, right, after work and see a miserable guy and then be like, why did I not stay home?
And he's a
Like,
good-looking guy. He's charismatic. He has
I know,
the
but
bone structure to not be
yeah,
stressed.
but if you're a hot housewife husband, I want to go have a want to go have a cappuccino and be looking at you and be like, seeing if your wife's gonna come in, her friends, and there's like a fan you want to. They're gonna go in and just see him calling out names and it just the tears like. I want like that's why like some of these house husbands they do well where it's I want to go hang out with them. The housewife, it's you know what we live in. We live in a society of OnlyFans and Instagram and YouTube and all that. If you are not taking this shot right now, homie, and you are not making Audrey's the number one hottest destination to come visit in Rhode Island, then you deserve to get off my screen. Because
That's fair.
again,
That's fair.
yes, you're stressed, but this is your pot of gold. And if you're not seeing the glass half full of, hey, you and your beautiful wife are on a hit television show that is so much press right now. We literally developed a podcast over it. You just became a lifelong new member of Bravo. And if you're gonna be that just tamed, I'd rather see someone else.
Oh, very. That's some harsh lessons from Deandra Miranda, and it's not a paper tiger piece of advice. That's someone who's been actually a consumer of Bravo stuff for how many years now? Maybe
Well, it's an
50.
amazing, it's a platform that changes your life.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And
For the
if you
people.
can't wake up and see a nice camera in your face, and again, you're a good-looking man with good-looking kids and live in a beautiful place, like I that's the one thing that's a little bit difficult is I'd be interested to see him season two because sometimes season two people start to change, you know.
That's cool.
Then he might be going to work with like a Louis Vuitton shirt. People start getting into but they start getting into like the name brands
Oh,
and
the
then
season
they
two's
start
a
going,
glow up. It's a
no,
glow up from season one, right?
normally season two, you'll start seeing a little bit more of the plastic surgery. They'll get the new
Oh,
cars, they get the new bags, the new clothes. They'll be doing barbecues and everyone will be like Louised out. So I would be interested to see if this little
ooh.
Rhode Island couple will stay Rhode Island, or will they really lean into the platform of making a mark for themselves. And I would be interested to see how they're going to make their marks.
Okay, so that is it for this. I'll be honest. Me and Deandra, she just completed a full day of work, and I'll tell you something. I think I could have gone a full more hour, 1 more hour just talking about Rhode Island Rory with Deandra Miranda. That's great that we covered
No
the
more
first. No more hashtags. Okay, so I'm not gonna do that. I promise. I promise. But I will say this: we covered the first. We did a little mini recap of episode 4. We'll be back next week for a mini recap of episode 5. We did a big overview of Rory this initial episode. Deandra, do you want to say anything else before we're out of here, or just final thoughts, and or where you think this series is going to take us? Are you pleasantly surprised at what we've been talking about? I guess.
I told you, I think we've been always trying to do, we've always needed to do a podcast for a long time. I like we're the best of both worlds. I'm on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast. We come from different backgrounds, but of course, we became besties in downtown LA. And I'm just really excited that, again, I'm just excited that this is a amazing thing I look forward to where I can only imagine how far it's going to take us. But I like the enthusiasm. I like that we're both also previewing a show that has a lot of meat. Nothing would be worse than be talking about something that's a little stale.
I wish I had
And
more meat. I'd be dating on a regular basis. That's a dad joke without being a dad. Sorry, sorry,
you mean
folks.
cheddar,
Cheddar. That too. I don't have any cheddar. It just.
cheddar.
Sorry. Yeah, very, very, very good. Very.
No, and I just would love to see, especially as we start getting our viewership and our fan base, I would love to like always be interactive where it's like, let us know your thoughts. If you're a Bravo fan, just like
Yeah.
us, if you're two besties who live to gab, obviously questions, comments, concerns, but I think that we're really doing this for the people. I think that we have a great outlook on stuff where you're not one of those housewives junkies. I am to a degree where I don't live in, and I'm not someone who wants to like go to the restaurants, go see them, but I've been a longtime fan for a long time. And I just am like, I'm excited to see what our viewers think.
I just hope Jared and Ashley get back at you and make you go to Audrey's, and you're gonna be a lifelong fan of that coffee shop after this conversation.
I would love to go, but make me
Yeah, same
want to
here.
get in the car. But no, make me want to get in the car and go. Because right now I can just go to Starbucks.
Well, again, I want to thank Deandra Miranda for being part of this Deepest Dream, Real Housewives of Rhode Island, which without the hashtags, because she's definitely not doing it for the money because she has a real job. And I don't know, maybe we'll get into that later during the season or whatnot, but she's definitely not doing it for the money, D, because right now I'm looking at our
You're not
deepest.
either, right?
Oh no, I'm looking at how I'm looking right now. There's reason why I'm not looking at you right now at the Zoom. I'm looking at how much I made today on the website. It's a whopping 55 cents. That won't even get me a coffee at Audrey's. So I have to actually start
Yes,
making money.
yes.
I
Jared, hook us up. We're
hook,
longtime fans, longtime sufferers.
hook us up. And also another thing, what we're gonna do for Deepest Dream is, D, you don't know this because I'm not a natural born leader or communicator, but I think what Dee and I will do moving forward, whether she agrees to this or not, along with Rhode Island, we'll be covering more Bravo content on this podcast. I'm excited. And I think for these segments, I'm going to let Deandra drive the proverbial bus, meaning whatever she wants to cover, I will follow her lead and cover that as well. And we can do the whole Gab stuff and talk for an hour each week or every other week. And I also want to bribe you guys because we're going to be covering television. Deepest Dream will cover a lot of television, Maybe down in the future, possibly books, but right now let's get to television. Speaking of which, this morning, D, again, something you don't know because I keep my secrets, right? And I should be called out. You should totally Rosie me these next few episodes. But I have 4 digital codes of Landman Season 2, courtesy of Paramount Home Entertainment. I will leave a link on our show notes, and you can be in the running for 4 digital codes for Landman Season 2 from Paramount Home Entertainment. I have not seen Landman. I don't think D's subscribed to
Wait,
Paramount Plus.
you're pushing something you haven't even seen?
I
Oh,
yeah,
wait,
right. I'm
you
pushing
know
the
what?
stuff.
You're slacking. You're
I
slacking right now.
I'm
Jesus.
horrible. I'm just trying to give our listeners some free stuff along with the value added content of Bravo Conversations. And like D said, we're doing this for to grow our community of Bravo fans, Bravo, and just people who are in this community. I'm trying to learn from D. D's an expert on this. So let us know what you think so far of the season of Rhode Island, the Real Housewives of Rhode Island, and we will see you here next week on Deepest Dream.